and architects, competitors, and colleagues. It's a great honor and privilege to be here today, and it was a great honor and privilege to be the head of the jury. And as all jury members, I think it was also a pleasure. I'm speaking on behalf of them. I have been a practicing architect for about 35 years. I've done many competitions. And in the last few years, I'm the city architect of Eindhoven, I'm the city architect of parts of Amsterdam, and I am the master architect of Schiphol Airport. And I'm constantly involved in selecting and judging competitions. And very seldom have I seen such a well-organized competition as the competition I've seen here today in Muscat. It has been done in an excellent way, and I think we all appreciate that. Especially the architects. It has been done in a very transparent and autonomous way. The jury was also, in a way, very transparent, inclusive in a sense, because we had a number of professors from the various architectural schools. We had 2 members of the municipality, and we had 2 independent architects. We had never met each other before, only once online last week. So we were coming in completely autonomous and independent. The goal or the objective was to select an iconic building or a landmark building. So how the jury worked was that we had the day yesterday where the architects had presented their works, and we had questions and answers. This is quite unusual that the architects would present in front of each other. It would be unusual that they would hear the debate that was taking place between the jury and them. But this was all done in a very transparent way. Then we went back to our room and we would discuss in detail the plans, which took a few hours. We first had a long discussion about what we saw and what we liked and what we didn't like with all the plans at the moment. Then we decided, we went through the room and I asked each member to pick your top 3, because we have 3 prizes in the end, first, second, and third. 6 of the members easily came to their top 3, which were all the same top 3, and 1 kind of stubborn member decided he had a top 1, and he had his bottom 5. But later he came along with us, and he also had the same top 3. So then we started to go into more detail, and we started to analyze the projects, first in terms of their iconic quality. After all, that was the main purpose of the competition, to pick a building which was iconic and which had a landmark quality. This was, in a way, I believe, quite challenging because, in the first sense, the height restriction of 30 meters makes it difficult to make a building iconic. Usually buildings are taller when they're iconic. Their landmark is a taller building which you can recognize. And secondly, the program, offices and a hotel. Normally, iconic buildings would be public buildings like a library or a museum or some sort of public building. So these were challenges that the architects faced. Then we started to look at the projects in terms of spatial layout. Which ones worked better as a hotel and office building, or which buildings created extra value. And of course, most of these hotels and offices worked very well. The architects are very capable and could easily design good hotel buildings and good office buildings. One came up with an extra space, which we found very intriguing. And some of the hotel rooms, some of the designs, maybe the rooms were too internal or too introverted, which was difficult for us to somehow appreciate. Then we looked at the buildings in terms of ecology, sustainability. And we saw some fantastic, fascinating studies done on this, on how you can make buildings which were naturally ventilated or semi-naturally ventilated. We saw projects which were energy neutral. We saw projects which did not rely on the traditional forms of air conditioning. But all of the projects really did look into how to make a building more sustainable. And also looking at old techniques, old great techniques of wind and water. And finally, we kind of touched on the economic side of this, which projects would be economically viable, but more or less they were all, I would say, within the range of being economically viable. There was nothing so outrageous that you would say, well, we could never afford this. And finally, the last criteria was the presentation. And I think all of the architects presented wonderfully yesterday. The drawings, the presentations were good. They were able to speak very well, and we saw some very nice little films. So in terms of presentation, I think everybody scored really high. In the end, we really started to focus on the need for an iconic building. But an iconic building in terms of Muscat. Muscat is not Dubai and should never become Dubai. It is not Doha, it's not Abu Dhabi, it's not Bahrain. Muscat is Muscat. And you should realize how beautiful Muscat is, how gentle it is. I've been coming here for years and years, and I keep telling you, you must go and visit Oman, you must go visit Muscat. So I believe, in the end, the winning project, and all of the projects, I would describe as gentle icons. They're not screaming icons, they're gentle icons. Icons which are appropriate for Muscat. And it's the beginning, let's say, or it's a continuation and a beginning of looking at architecture which is from somewhere, and I mean somewhere Muscat, and not anywhere, that could be anywhere. And I believe that's what we tried to do, was to pick a monument which was from somewhere, which is Muscat. I believe all the architects did a wonderful job, and I'm sure that they will find other opportunities here in Oman, because I believe they are capable of doing that. Thank you very much.